Well, on problem number 30, we are asked to solve the inequality, absolute value of negative 6 plus, h plus 1 minus 7 greater than or 4. And so to solve these inequalities, again, the first thing to remember is these absolute value signs are not just a parenthesis. You cannot just remove them. You have to think through what it means and how to get rid of them. And in the problems we've seen, it's best to deal with this by getting the absolute value on one side of the inequality and a number on the other. So we can do that by adding 7 to both sides to get rid of this stray 7. And so what we're left with is the absolute value of negative 6h plus 1 on one side and 11 on the other. Now when you see a greater than in these problems, the shape of the solution set, I want to skip ahead a little bit here just to show you, is going to end up being, you'll have the two endpoints, and then you're going to shade outside. So it's problems away from a central point, or it's points away from a central point that are members of the solution set. Everything inside these two fences, these 2 points, is not a member of the solution set. It's going to work just the opposite when this guy's a less than. When this guy's a less than here, then you're going to have basically everything inside the solution set is going to be inside the two fences, inside these two solutions, these two endpoints, and then everything outside will be blank. But because that's how we interpret it, it's real important to get it down to this form where the absolute values on one side, numbers on the other first, before you try to go any further with this. So get the 7 away first. Can't combine the 1 and the negative 7 either. They're not, one's inside the absolute value, one's outside. So now that we're here, we've got two options. One is that what's inside the absolute value is actually greater than negative 11. That'll make that true. Or what's inside the absolute value is less than negative 11. Okay, change the direction and change the sign. So let's just go through here. Solve this side first. We can add this case first. Add or subtract 1 from both sides. We get negative 6h greater than negative 10. Then divide by negative 6 on both sides, but because we're dividing by a negative, that's why we have to switch. If we were dividing by a positive, we could have left that inequality alone, but we switched the direction because we divided by a negative. And that made this equal to negative h less than negative 10/6. And I did a little simplifying here, h less than negative 5/3. Okay? Over here, the other case is that negative 6h plus 1 is less than negative 11. So again, we divide both sides by negative 6, but when we do that, we have to change the direction of the inequality. It goes from being a less than to a greater than. This just becomes 1h, this becomes positive 2. So we have h greater than 2 or h less than negative 5/3. And we see how that looks on the graph. On the graph, we're going to have the two endpoints, one at negative 5/3, just shy of negative 2, and one at positive 2. Everything greater than 2 gets shaded. Everything less than negative 5/3 gets shaded. But these things are in neither location and they're not shaded. So this is what the solution looks like. In set builder notation, we have that the set containing x such that x is either less than negative 5/3 or x is greater than 5/2. And we close the set. Finally, in interval notation, we can describe this as a union of two sets. This kind of broad-based U is the union. It basically means or. It's going to be either in here or in here, the solution. First set can be described by starting at negative infinity. Negative infinity always gets a parenthesis instead of a square brace because negative infinity is not a number. It's a concept. Go on forever in the negative direction. Comma, that's so negative infinity is the low end. Negative 5/3 is the high end, and we close with the parenthesis because negative 5/3 is not part of the solution set. There is no equal sign there. Union with, we start again, low end of this part is at 2, but it's not included in the data set. High end is infinity, and we'll close with the parenthesis. Okay? Well, I hope that helps.